Hello, journaling family, pages and process. Um, we're going to do a little writing session today. I have been sort of listening to my guidance lately and figuring out how pages and process is different than Julia Cameron's morning pages. And I realized that while hers are about waking up and stream of consciousness writing within the first 45 minutes of getting out of bed, and not sharing those pages with anyone. They're like a vault. And if that's what you need, I encourage you to do that because it's a really great practice. So this isn't about me saying that practice isn't absolutely wonderful. I think it's fantabulous. But what was coming up for me in my morning pages as I was doing them was these pages are not just for you. You need to share them online. So I'm sort of recognizing, one, to veer off of what I was taught to do is kind of scary for me. And then to recognize that maybe in doing so, because it is veering off of what it was that I had learned, it actually does become kind of my own practice, my own shared expressive kind of craft that I'm inviting you into, even though my inspiration is drawn from Julia Cameron's morning pages. So with that said, for pages and process, what it is that I do that I feel really called to, very specifically that feels personal to me, that I love to share with you and invite you into, is connecting to the body, the mind, the spirit, that sort of psyche essence of all that is you, and being attuned to what's happening inside the self, maybe even interrelationally with others, and also your environment, and allowing the awareness of all of the breath that you have in between those spaces to kind of start to amoeba together, and then to see what kind of emerges from that. And know that because it's stream of consciousness, there's no right or wrong way to do this. And know that sometimes our consciousness is our mind and our thoughts and our how we're accustomed to thinking about it. And sometimes our consciousness exists elsewhere, and sometimes consciousness is shared. So when you start going into sort of the deeper meditative states or sort of an experience of channeling, sometimes the information or the words or the experiences or the colors, vibrations that you pick up on start to become a little more transpersonal, even sort of timeless, or picking up on different timelines, either in your own life or in whatever essence it is that is kind of coming through your channeling experience. I want to say that for me, as I stream of consciousness my writing, attuned to some form of consciousness, and then let that stream, I do my best to connect to my own personal heart and kind of almost step out and back away from whatever experience wants to come forward, and let that kind of pour onto the page. So with that said, you're welcome to join me in something that looks like what I just described. You're also welcome to allow this to evolve into something that is very specific to you and is not quite mine or Julia Cameron's way of doing pages. Because one thing that I love about my concept or my entry into pages and process is that it's about connecting with your pages and then processing for ourselves what comes through. And then if and when it feels timely or ready to share that, either with yourself by recording yourself, watching it back later so you get a little insight, or a trusted friend, sharing something with them, or as you build your more creative resiliency, or things start to come forward that feel like they might be for more than just you, or you feel called to share them more publicly, then of course, joining me in sort of the creating memes, or maybe you're already doing that with some of your own work, but if you'd like me to uplift some of your words from any sort of stream of consciousness writing that has come out of you that feels like it's for more than you, I'd be happy to uplift that in my stories and just tag pages and process. Okay, so got that out of the way. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. You put a hand on your body somewhere that you're feeling an extra resonance. Deep breath in again. Exhale, being aware of the space around you, however that is, either with your eyes or your senses or your ears. Deep breath in. And just allowing whatever comes up to come up. And on the exhale, we'll begin our writing 3 pages. Begin. Excuse me. I'm all a buzz over here. Okay. Wherever you are, go ahead and push pause if you need more time for your 3 pages, or if you're done, go ahead and take a deep breath, release. I feel called to keep my eyes open today. If you want to close yours, go for it. Another deep breath in. And release. If you feel like moving your body, go ahead and move your body. You might want to stretch or turn around. Just be nice and still with yourself. And one more deep breath in. And release. So wherever you are, whatever you just processed, know that you get to be in control of what you leave on the page and what you take with you. And there's a lot that often comes up on the page that can be guidance. It can also be repressed emotions or repressed longings or things that we hide even from ourselves, let alone other people. So if some of that comes up and you have some judgment or some new awareness or insight about what maybe was inside of your experience, go ahead and take some time to either be with that, take clear action from a place of alignment if something comes up that is of insight for you to maybe make some changes in your life. And if you're not there, it can always be just a really good thing to sit with the feeling of what if. What if I did that thing I'm scared of, or that thing I know I need to do? And sometimes the thing I'm scared of to do it wouldn't make you feel good to think about doing it. And then maybe that's not the right time, right? And other times, doing the thing you're scared of and you think about doing it and you go, I would feel so good if I just tried. That can be a somatic, the body, a somatic sensation that lets you know that that might be a good direction to go and explore and try. And when we start to learn to listen to the body, trust the body, feel into what the body says yes to, what the body says no to, and noting if it's I should do that thing and you think about it and you get overwhelmed and flooded, maybe either it's not the right time, you don't have enough information, or you need to break it up into more moderate steps so you don't feel flooded and overwhelmed by it. Or perhaps you need additional support. So sometimes when we listen to our body and we feel or sense or know that something is too much, too soon, too fast, or not enough and we need something more, we can, instead of being frustrated or angry with the thing itself, which sometimes we have to move through that, we have to go through that, in which case, process your emotions, feel your emotions, write those emotions on the page, put them into some creative work, push against a wall and just get your feeling of pushing something away out, or scream into a pillow, anything where you feel like you're not holding, suppressing, containing, compartmentalizing your feelings, but they have some sort of an outlet with an intention of still being able to carry through, follow through on your own from a place of heart-centered connection. Sometimes when we go into these deep places, we can kind of fall into a place where we feel like we can't get out of it. If that happens to you, know that one, you're not alone. It's a very normal thing to happen. So I just want you to know that it's okay, and that's your body's way of dealing with it, and you don't have to shame your body. And at the same time, I do also recognize many of us may not want to be there, or don't have the ability to or resources or time to be there, and so we have to learn ways to maybe bypass a little and cope a little along the way, and then return to the space that is calling for our attention. So if you have time to just give and devote yourself to just being in whatever might be present that arises, and it could be joy. It doesn't have to be a state of grief or kind of like hypo arousal where we get slow and sad and lethargic. But if that is you, know that you can find ways safety, support, bolster yourself, even if that's just giving yourself 3 things, even 1 thing, but maybe 3 to 5 if you can, if you're feeling that up for it to do, that aren't hard to do but are good for you. Things like that's meditation, laying on the floor, listening to some sort of a song that gives you a peaceful feeling, right? Uh, Getting a drink of water. Sometimes when we're in those really shut down places, it can be helpful for us to give us tasks that are good for us and feel good to do, at least comparatively to maybe just whatever else is going on, that aren't hard. So if we can get used to the idea of making simple, direct choices that are easy to do and then can nourish us in some way, we can start to learn to trust that we have some sort of a self-agency and can impact our lives and those around us, our environment, working with the concept of choice and action in small ways that feel like at least there's a little bit of a container around you. And now, of course, the other direction, some of us have so many containers and we're working, and we're going, and we have everything scheduled to the minute. And that can often be the opposite end, the hyper arousal as opposed to hypo arousal, but still in a dysregulated nervous system. So for you guys, it's what could help me maybe feel better. That I don't feel so terrible about taking time away. And it could be as little as like, I'm gonna count 3 breaths, and you just count 1, 2, 3, and maybe that can just calm you down a little bit. It can also be, before I start my next project, I am going to do some sort of a transitional period, even if that is just walking to the fridge or walking to the stove and getting a drink or making a cup of tea before you sit down to your next task. Something like that. Something to just break up different things. It could even be, instead of just going right into your day, maybe you take a moment to open your blinds in the morning and notice 3 things outside. What do you see? Maybe you see a tree, maybe you see a house, maybe you see the sky. It could be that simple. The more you start to habituate these things, the more you might start to see different details in the areas around you. The more you might naturally feel really good when you're like, oh, it's time to make my tea before I do my next thing. And then when you do your next thing, instead of feeling like you're moving into it from a place of hyper arousal, you feel a little bit more like regulated and at ease. And we can always and always, we have more capacity to respond and to take aligned action when we are in a regulated space. So whether you're hypoarousal, prone to that, or prone to hyperarousal, know that there's a place somewhere in the middle that, while it's good to hear those voices, to sense into them, learn what it is, what are their unmet needs, what are they afraid of, what's going on with them, that ultimately, the more we can take little choices to help ourselves understand, there's either a little bit more freedom or a little bit more containment, we can find a little bit of self-regulation that we can then share in our communities when we go about the work that we're doing. So this might not be news to you. This might be just stuff you're already aware of. It might be completely brand new to you. And the beauty of sharing online is you don't really always know who's going to get what you're giving. So whoever you are, wherever you're at, know that it means the world to me that you've received some aspect of this. If certain aspects do align with you in a really lovely way, it also feels really good to hear from you and to know what lands, what works, what mirrors your own path, what maybe brought up some curiosities or some disconnects inside of you that that either is leading you clearer on your own path, that might be not what I mentioned, or that is helping you get curious about something that maybe hasn't been feeling right in your path, and maybe there's something to kind of unpack or sort through there that you can return to. So wherever that is, whatever that is, know that, like, Your heart is your heart, just like mine is mine. And I support you in finding the beat and rhythm of what feels good and right to you, so you can feel a safe and regulated experience of what it's like to move throughout your day, your creative works, your relationships to yourself, others, and your environment. Okay, have a great rest of your day. Bye. See you next time.